Hi, so there I am. So let's start with the first lesson today, and we're going to talk about the counting principle. We're going to count things in this first unit. Once again, as I said, this is a higher level unit, but you know what? Most everyone should be able to follow along, and it can't hurt to know. So the counting principle, and we might talk about permutations. The specific important themes are the product. Sorry, the product principle and the addition principle. So, let's see, principle. So it's very basic. Once again, some of you have done these in previous classes. So the idea is, imagine that you go to a restaurant. You're at a restaurant, and there are 3 main courses and 2 desserts. Right. So in the first case 1, you can get, 1 main course and 1 dessert. In case 2, right? Case 2, actually, let's call this X. Should we call it X? In case 2, let's call it Y. It's a little different. What do you think? You can only get 1 item. You can only get 1 item. So these are the scenarios. So a little notation. N of A, that would be the number of outcomes for scenario A. So let's take a look at these 2 cases. So let's take a look at case 1. So what is N of X? How many different ways N of X? Well, the idea is we're going to use the product principle. Well, we know, anyone have any answers of what they think the number of ways you can get 1 main course and 1 dessert? Yeah, 6. Right? We know that by inspection, right? Because you're like, course 1, dessert 1, course 1, dessert 2, course 2, dessert 1, course 2, dessert 2, course 3, dessert 1, course 3, dessert 2. So that's 6. What did we do here? Basically, if the idea is, if you are able to choose 1 from N groups, then you multiply the individual possibilities. So that's a long way of saying, 3 times 2. 3 times 2 equals 6. That's it. So once again, if you have the word, so let's look at the next case. Y. Well, you can only get 1 of these. Well, that's obvious. It's 5, right? Because you're like, there's 3 main courses and 2 desserts. So the idea here is, if you are able to choose only 1 from all the groups, you add all the possibilities. Right? So clearly 3 plus 2 equals 5. So this first unit is very basic. In general, the word and means multiplication. The word or is basically addition. We can write this out nicely. You can say n, of like x and y is equal to n of x, time. Let's see if I can get up here the multiplication symbol. Do I have a times up here? No. Times n of y, and then, and if we say n x or y, that is equal to n of x plus n of y. So an example from 1-1, they say that so let's see, what do they say here? So so let's see, you have a question. Let's see, take the question 1. You have an exam, right? Let's see, 10 questions in part A and 4 questions in part B. And so, how many different ways can you choose one question from each section? And how many different ways can you just choose one question? Well, what's going on? Let's pause the video and let's think about this. So, what's going on with this first part? You say, okay, well, I have to choose one from part A and one from part B. So it's 10 times 4. That equals, there's 40 different ways I can choose the two questions. And then how many ways can I just choose one question? Well, in total, there's 14 questions. So, there's 10 in the first part and 4 in the second part. That's 14 questions. That's it. Okay. Exercise 1A. Have fun. So the idea is do all the questions. So the idea is I need you to think about that you are spending an hour and a half in my classroom. And so we got through this quick lesson, and then you're starting on all these questions. There are 12 questions in this section. Maybe you got through it in the class. Maybe you got through 6 questions, and you go home and do a little bit more. But the idea is I want you to block, when you're doing my math lesson, I want you to block off an hour and a half for this. Imagine you're in my class for an hour and a half. Good.